stage, Plasma One. That's how you want to start a week. Tim Callis Show, Bomani Jones, and Kevin Blackistone back with us after his return from China. Welcome back. Today, LeBron where? All-Star who's? Wimbledon what? And this World Cup, huh? We got 10 topics, but only one winner. You. No, it's the collar. Something's on the collar. That's right. Yeah. You know a move from high school.
Here's Tony Reali.
Hey now. Welcome back around. Welcome back to a fully goateed panel here on Around the Horn. And welcome back, Kevin Blackistone. 1 month in China as part of the Foreign Professor Program.
Yeah.
I call it the bury the lead diplomacy. Describe China, 3 words or less, Kev.
Really, really big.
That's all you got? All right, 3 words. That's what I asked for.
Never would have guessed.
Welcome back. Let's go around the horn.
It's the first word.
All right, here we go. The Dan Gilbert letter in Comic Sans that has been on the Cleveland Cavaliers website for 4 years, poking LeBron, has been taken down, people. What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? Who cares what it means? All right, there we go. Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, Adrian Wojnarowski, reporting that he's funneling information and the belief to the Cavaliers that they could land LeBron again. Bomani, is this all white noise, or is it noise that matters?
I thought it was all white noise up until earlier today, and for the first time you start hearing this noise from places that make you think, wait a minute, is it really possible that LeBron could wind up going to Cleveland? It seems insane on so many levels. That team didn't even win 30 games last year. Dan Gilbert finally had the good sense to take that letter down today. There are all of those things in place, but we have the reports that Rich Paul, LeBron James' agent, would like to have LeBron in Cleveland. He already reps Tristan Thompson, so that would give him more power within that organization than he would have in the one down in Miami. So I'm not at the point yet of saying that I think that LeBron is necessarily going to Cleveland, but this can't be just ignored as a pipe dream.
Tristan Thompson footnote. I read that today as well, Bomani Jones. Really, Tristan Thompson's going to decide where LeBron James is going to be playing basketball?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily decide where LeBron plays basketball, but he does have an agent working on this who doesn't have a commission, and he's got his own set of interests of what he'll recommend.
Well, let's just give the agent credit for doing his fiduciary responsibility, looking out for his client and trying to find out what's actually the best deal out there. I think that earlier you were right, Bomani. I mean, this is really white noise right now. This isn't, smoke coming from over the Vatican that we have a new pope in Cleveland. This guy's got a lot riding for him in Miami. He's been with the most successful team in the NBA the last 4 years, 4 trips to the NBA Finals, 2 championships to show for it. And isn't it interesting that the most coveted free agents right now in the offseason are all guys basically with the Miami Heat, he and Chris Bosh. So, I mean, it would behoove him right now, I think, to stay there. And until we hear from Pat Riley, people in the Heat organization, LeBron James himself, this is all white noise.
Tim Kalishaw.
Tony, somehow you find it odd that Tristan Thompson, a man who in his 3rd pro season suddenly decided he might be right-handed, would decide that LeBron James should come.
Well, I mean, just the idea that the agent is trying to pair them together.
I know, but I think it could be meaningful noise. I think at the very least it's fascinating noise for 2 reasons. One, it would be a completely different scenario from LeBron. If he stays, and I presume he's going to stay, he's trying to drag a bunch of older guys along with him to try to keep getting those guys to the finish line. This would be the opposite. This is taking Kyrie Irving and Wiggins and the younger guys and trying to teach them how to get there. The second part is the Dan Gilbert angle, which at first seems impossible. But then if you think about the other way, he forces Dan Gilbert to become a LeBron James fan. That's an interesting kind of revenge in its own way.
And did you think there was something to the letter being taken down on the website today, Tim?
I think there might be, yeah.
Okay.
That leads you to think.
Woody Page, join us.
Well, let's talk about white noise. Let's go back to KB. I guess you missed it in China, but Carmelo Anthony also is a free agent. I'd put him in that list with those other 2 guys. And Tim, you're talking about he wants to teach these young players. He's in the prime of his career. Is he really got time right now? He needs to be trying to get to 6 championships, 7 championships. Do you want to spend a couple of years working with Wiggins and Irving and saying, here's how we want to do it? Do you really want to go back to a guy that did post that letter for years saying, good riddance, go out of here? No, that's why it's white noise. They needed some leverage, and that's why Paul is talking to them. He's going to go back to Miami, and at the least, we should wait until he talks to Pat Riley and see what happens.
But in this pursuit of leverage that you just brought up, Woody Page, just the idea his agent is bringing Cleveland right back into this. Doesn't this lead to an apocalypse scenario where he could jilt Cleveland again, Bomani?
Oh boy, and that would be a angry situation, unlike any angry situation that you've ever seen in this one. I agree. I still think that LeBron winds up staying in Miami, but the things that we're hearing now in the range of places that you're hearing it from, I don't think we can dismiss Cleveland the way we would have 5 days ago.
Go ahead, Tim.
I don't think there's a real, Woody, I don't think there's a real long learning curve if he goes to Cleveland to teach Kyrie Irving anything or to teach Wiggins anything. They're good young players. They can figure things out pretty quick.
Well, okay, then let's consider it this way. The Cleveland roster with LeBron James versus the Heat roster, maybe without Chris Bosh. What would you prefer to be on for the next couple of years, Kalishaw?
I think just roster alone, I'd prefer Cleveland.
How about you, Kev?
Well, I think the roster alone, I'd still prefer to be with guys who have won it before. I mean, you look, how long did it take? How long did it take LeBron to get there? How long did it take Michael Jordan to get to the finals? I mean, this is a maturation.
Are all of you of the opinion that everything in free agency stops until LeBron signs?
Yes.
Okay. Because the Rockets reportedly heavily engaged in Chris Bosh right now, and the thought there is that this could have multiple effects. Make Houston better, break up the Heat, and possibly convince LeBron to go elsewhere. Let's start off with you here, Woody Page. Would it make basketball sense for Bosh to leave Miami for Houston?
It makes basketball sense. I don't think it makes life sense, and I'll start with that. He really likes Miami. His family does, so I think that's difficult. In terms of basketball sense, he's been the third man on the match. He has been the third option for them. The guy has the second best percentage among mid-range jumper players in the entire league. He could really help Houston in an area where they have serious problems. So I think he would be the third man in Houston, but he could possibly be number one there. Chris Bosh goes back as he was in Toronto. So I think from a basketball standpoint, this is a great plan B, B+, that if in fact LeBron doesn't stay in Miami, you better go to Houston. Hurry.
Yeah, I think there's a degree of basketball sense that says it makes sense for him to at least consider Houston very strongly. The main one being that in Miami, a team that never really has true centers or true big men, he's forced at times to guard centers. He's forced at times to kind of play center in some sets offensively. And if you're on a team with Dwight Howard, that's not going to be the case. He can go back to doing what he did when he was very successful and an all-star in Toronto. I don't know that that's enough on its own to say I'm leaving behind an easy trip to the finals every year to go do this, but I think he has to consider it.
Bomani.
Well, one thing we can't forget about the Heat is we can't say what their roster is because as things stand presently, they have Norris Cole under contract. They don't have a roster. So if we look strictly at Bosh on the Rockets, it does make a lot of sense because he could go back to playing power forward. That part in the basketball end and with the talent they have there, that seems to add up. The only thing about it is if you wind up with a team with James Harden, Dwight Howard, and Chris Bosh as your three best players, which one of them are you going to count on? There's not a single guy of that triumvirate that I would think that you could lean on and depend on like this is the guy that I know is going to wind up carrying us. The other question you have to ask about Chris Bosh is, do you want to wind up as potentially the number 3 option behind those guys? It's one thing to be the number 3 option between prime Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. That doesn't mean he wants to spend this.
But about that, their big three then, if they bring Bosh in there with Harden and Howard, you wouldn't put that right there with the Thunder and right there with the Spurs in the Western Conference?
No, they look like they'd be right up there, but then when we start talking about postseason and you look at that team, are you trusting James Harden after what you saw last postseason? Are you trusting
basketball sense for Chris Bosh to me means wait and see what LeBron James does. If LeBron James is staying in Miami, then you stay put and you hope that that's good enough to get back to another finals, which I think it would be good enough to do. Or, you know what, maybe you find out that LeBron James is heading somewhere else, and guess what? Maybe you can ride that coattail one more time. But to go to the Houston Rockets, a team that hasn't really lit it on fire when it comes to the playoffs. Last time they were in the finals was during the Olajuwon days way back in the mid-'90s when Michael Jordan was on his hiatus. I mean, I don't see that as a team that I'm attracted to jumping ship for right now, just as it is. It only makes financial sense because there you won't have to take a cut in your salary as you will have to do if you probably stay in Miami.
Well, that's the whole point. I think he's been left out. He goes there. It's about a $100 million contract.
Right.
If he stays in Miami, he's expected to take a cut from $19 million.
Yep.
So he's going to lose millions and millions of dollars and go to a state where there's no state income tax.
There it is. I knew that one was coming.
Yeah,
every reporter knows what state has income tax and what state doesn't.
One that doesn't have to worry about that.
Page 15, Kalishaw 10, Jones 10, Blackstone 10. Hey, buddy, 10 points. Blackstone's back from China. We're taking a break. Virus Cell next. Coming up, baseball. We got the trade from the weekend and All-Stars announced. And tennis, Djokovic over Federer. And Federer with the Denzel tear from Glory. Right there. The one singular tear.
Did you have takeout?
The Denzel tear. Anyone?
buy or sell?
There are trades in Moneyball, to all people who are saying Billy Beane doesn't trade and change the system. That's how we got the Jonah Hill reaction. Thank you very much, Kalisha. But he's acquiring Jeff Samardzija and Jason Hamill and sending Addison Russell, number 3 ranked prospect in baseball, the other way. Beane and the A's deciding to go all in for this season, Woody. Buy or sell the trade?
Well, my initial reaction was to sell it because Billy Beane has worked so hard to have his system in place. But then the more I read about Lou Wolf, the owner of the A's, he wants to win now. He's 78 years old. He's willing to spend the extra money to fight those Tigers. So for Wolf to not want to be in sheep's clothing anymore, I'm all for it.
I saw that one coming while it was happening. Still, a point for your troubles. Kalisha, go ahead.
Yeah, I got to buy this too. Part of it is just that the A's have had some problems with their starting pitchers, and they're trying to stay ahead of the Angels. But I think Billy Beane looks around the American League, sees no great teams in the East, and Detroit is out there with Verlander having a bad year. Yeah. This is the time for the A's.
That starting rotation seems pretty stout, though, Kalisha. You saw some cracks in the rotation?
They'd had some problems with the rotation for a while.
Well, Monty Jones?
Look, I've got to sell it. Their plus 135 run differential will indicate to you that they're going to run away with their division. They're 60 runs better than the Angels happen to be. Was a prospect worth fortifying a part of your team that wasn't exactly a weakness? So I don't think this is going to be bad for them. I just wonder if the price down the line is going to prove to be too high.
No, I got to buy it, and the reason I got to buy it is because as much as we love to talk about Moneyball and it became a great movie, at the end of the day, it didn't pay the dividends. They've only been to the ALCS once during this whole Moneyball run. This is the kind of thing you need to do in order to ensure that that you can get to a championship. You got to have a little Yankees in your spending.
And now Samardzija can't play in the All-Star game because of the trade. They should put him out there in a generic jersey like they do in commercials where they don't want to pay for rights. So if you consider that a snub, be my guest. 6 A's in total on the team, voted in by fans: Jeter, Puig, Nelson Cruz 1 year after his PED suspension. Selected by Mike Matheny, Rocky outfielder Charlie Blackmon, and Pirate utility man Josh Harrison. Selected by John Farrell, Minnesota's Kurt Suzuki, 3rd catcher on the team. What are you buying? What are you selling from the All-Star team, Kalisha?
I'm buying the fans, sharing the wealth. In the American League, you'll have 8 different teams represented out on the field, not counting the pitcher, at all the positions. I'm selling baseball, asking the fans to vote one more time when it's for the 34th or 35th player. The rosters are way too big.
Jones.
Well, I bought the fan vote, even with the Derek Jeter vote, considering this is not a lifetime achievement for him. I didn't think there was much to criticize about what you got for them. The part you've got to sell is the biggest reason why Jeff Samardzija can't play in this All-Star game. He should be able to play however he wants to because it should be an exhibition, except we keep insisting upon acting like this silly little game counts.
I'm buying that Yasiel Puig is in on the fan vote. Here's a guy who's been criticized by baseball players for not doing it the right way, by offending their unwritten rules of the game. Well, guess what? The fans like the way he plays the game. He's exciting. Good for them to see him through.
Woody Page?
Congratulations, fans. You did the right job. I think that their picks were outstanding. I think the players' picks were outstanding. Tim is whacking on the 35th player that they're going to have. I will make you a bet, Tony. I will take 30 points off if Anthony or Justin doesn't get it in the National League.
Of course, yes, because we see what you're doing there with names. We see right through it. I'm mute for Woody Page. About Nelson Cruz here. Some players like John Lackey saying fans have a short memory here. The idea that the suspension was just last year, Kalisha.
Well, what were they going to vote for, Ortiz instead of Nelson Cruz? I mean, John Lackey's pretty much the only one.
Jones, any problem with the player just off the suspension?
I mean, he's the fastest direction that they've given.
Okay.
Nope, he can play.
Tennis now. How great was Djokovic Federer? A lot closer than Posh and Sam Jackson. It was like True
Why are you so scared?
Too. The win, we're not doing True Detective Season 2 jokes anymore. The win, the best of Djokovic's career, according to Chris Chase of USA Today's For the Win. His 7th major, 2nd at Wimbledon. Although he had this one, then looked to lose it, then came back to win it. Was this final about Djokovic or Federer to you, Bomani?
Well, I'm going to have to say it was about Djokovic because it looked like he was coming apart the way that fourth set ended, and he got it back together, especially after that injury time. He seemed to have steeled himself and gotten it done. It seemed like it was heartbreaking for Federer to get that close, but it would have been way worse for Djokovic to lose.
Yeah, it was more about Djokovic to me because this is a guy who has struggled in his last several finals. I mean, he fell apart to Murray. He's fallen apart to Nadal the last couple of times. So this time he was able to steel himself and preserve that W.
Both of you guys are wrong. This is all about Federer. You can't understand. The guy was going for a record 8th Wimbledon title. He was making a comeback from being nowhere for the last couple of years. He was making a comeback in the match, and he almost pulled it off. It was totally about Roger.
It was all about Federer, as Woody said. Because when he goes down 2-1 after that third set tiebreak, you feel like it's over. He hasn't broken serve yet on Djokovic the entire match, and he does it 3 times in the fourth set to make one last great moment at Wimbledon.
Ooh, how'd this happen? Usually, he's the Roger Federer of this program, what he paid the most, but 18 points, first to go with the last word.
I'm just amazed. I led for like 6 questions, and I said one statement that was funny, and you eliminated
it. Was funny. Oh, he thinks it was funny. Tim, Bomani, Kevin,
replay.
The lightning round's going to be next with Kalisha Jones and Blackstone. Coming up, World Cup woes. The insane coaching decision that led to victory for the Netherlands and celebrations for almost everybody on the team. Almost everybody. And Neymar's cup ending, which is country crushing. But unless that country is Argentina, huh? What? Oh, that noise. Now finally the World Cup segment. Bomani's been waiting patiently for this. The man who put his 20 points on the line and made all 4 accurate picks this weekend with 40 as we go into the lightning round. FIFA has determined there were no bad intentions on the tackle here on Neymar. No punishment for him. But Zuniga's still getting threats from all over the world. Neymar's broken third vertebra has him out. Had fans in Argentina celebrating, and some wondering
if
Neymar wasn't protected enough on the field. What do you think, Kalisha?
Didn't know that picking 4 heavy favorites was worth 20 points on this show. That must be something new.
You put it on the line.
On the other hand, I can't believe they looked at this and said the guy's cleared of anything. They said he was in constant pursuit of the ball. He was pursuing it by putting his knee in Neymar's back and fracturing a vertebra. It's got to be a fine.
Bomani?
Yeah, Tim sounded a little salty about my good fortune, but I do happen to agree with him on the point that he made. You don't get to do the tiger knee like Saget from Street Fighter and tell me that you were playing the ball. It looked like you were trying to climb up the dude's back, man.
Yeah, but you can't imagine that this guy actually planned to put his right knee in the middle of the tin and fracture Neymar's vertebrae to put him out for the rest of the tournament. I don't think that happened. This was a particularly rough and physical game. Maybe if you want to blame somebody, blame the referees for not getting
they called more fouls in that game than any other game in this entire World Cup. I know that was the horn, and I know Neymar's injury is the biggest headline in the World Cup world this past weekend, but how about Van Gaal switching keepers, going at the kicks for the Netherlands? Does he have to smooth anything over going forward, Bomani, with his keepers?
He just might have to. Everybody else showed a whole lot of heart, though. The coach did and the fill-in. Now the starting keeper's going to have to man
and
up.
It works. You got to love it. Kalisha?
It's definitely worked, but it seemed like everybody on the team expected it, except the goalie who was getting pulled.
You know what? I mean, it seemed like everybody here was expecting Blackstone to advance, but now here we are. He's being switched out. Kevin, you're back from China. Welcome. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot.
Kalisha Jones, that'll be our showdown. 2 enter, only one will leave. And straight ahead, to know thy selfie is to love thy selfie. Oh, to love thy victory is to get no love in the victory. Hood! Then there were 2, and he scored white clean. Bomani Jones from Kalisha showdown. Good luck to you both. Dom Dwyer, Sporting KC. Goal and a self-photograph that all the kids are doing now with the camera on the phone. He was booked a yellow card. So a post-goal selfie, you say what, Kalisha?
I'd say a yellow card is not enough. I think selfies are either the death of America or society. I'm not sure which. For a soccer player to go do that in the middle of a game, it's the worst thing I've ever seen.
This why you can't get nobody to watch your little game. Somebody just trying to have a little fun and get into the celebratory spirit that we've seen overseas in the soccer, and now you want to get all puritanical about it and shut down a photographic opportunity. I'm
leaning towards Kalisha's assessment of society and little game. You're just 120 points from the game, Jones.
I'm talking about that, the MLS.
I wouldn't be calling anything a little game. We'll move on. Selfies, the scourge of the Tour de France as well. Competitors complaining that people are in the way. Look at this. One guy reportedly nearly took out a cyclist, and this Also, from the winner's podium at the Tour de France, the Kiss here with the cover-up immediately going to rearrange the collar. What's jumping out to you, Bomani?
Oh, man, I feel bad for my man on the stand. I mean, he got the sugar from the first one. He thought it'd be okay. He thought he'd give the other lady some sugar. And apparently she's on that diet. She's not here for his sugar. She embarrassed him in front of all those people. That's tragic.
I thought the bicyclist did a very nice job there. I've been in that situation where I think I know somebody and then realize maybe I don't actually know them and I have to reach for
well practiced, might you say?
Well
it's 2 to -2. It's Tim Calishaw's FaceTime today.
Ian Kinsler has always been one of my favorite players. Feel like he got snubbed from the All-Star game. 11 home runs, 45 RBIs, 302 batting average, Anthony. This guy, you can see his impact on what happened to the Rangers when they let him go. And you see what's happened to that team. And now you look at the Tigers and how they're doing. I wish Ian Kinsler was in the game. I'm going to give him one of my trophies as a prize for getting this snub. I like Kinsler.
The voice of Al Davis, the ghost of Al Davis.
I feel so much better about losing now.
Yeah, I think we all do. That was wonderful, Tim. Thank you for that. That's going to do it, folks. Thanks for coming around. Great 707-day show. Baby, sis Christina, happy birthday. And Case and Chris, best case scenario. Congrats on the Woozy wedding. We're on a 23.5-hour break.
This was your first
We'll see you tomorrow.
Around the horn on display again.
Thank you, Weinstein.
The next big thing. The next new kid. The next overnight sensation. The next rookie. One to watch. The next Hall of Famer. The next intimidator. The next six-time. The next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at New Hampshire. Saturday at 3 Eastern on ESPN2.